Salam al coming to you here again with another presentation. It's not going to be very long. I really did not know where to begin um, on this one. And I want to start by saying, though, that, it is written that they that have ears to hear, let them hear. And those that have eyes to see, let them see. Now we're in those days wherein our Father said he would begin to gather his people out of the four corners of the earth unto nations wherein they were scattered because of the rebellion of our forefathers and because of our rebellion continuously after that. But as Most High is preparing as our time in exile has come to an end these places, there are certain things that will repeat. And what will repeat is that Mitzrayim, aka can also be referred to as Babylon as well, will do everything in its power to, so it thinks, to refuse to let the Most High's people go. As a matter of fact, they will double down on all that they seek to do. And unfortunately, a lot of us aren't able to see what is happening, nor are we able to take notice of what has been happening. And now as they do it right in our face, unfortunately many of us will not be able to discern or see what is happening. The talk in the environment these days, or what they have flooded the, as they call it, the information cycle with, the news cycle with, is deportation. Deportation of unlawful migrants or immigrants, whatever they want to call them, that's in the country, illegally and working, so on and so forth, illegally. Now, this that is happening has nothing to do with the application of proper immigration laws that they claim have been broken. This type of thing has been going on in the country for decades, and it is an understanding. As a matter of fact, there are resources and avenues by which large corporations in this country, or in the U.S., I should say, provide for ways in which people know the connections and the routes available for them to enter the country to do this work that they usually find themselves doing. Predominantly, a lot of this work is in the food industry, in restaurants, but moreover, a lot of them are in the fields or on farms, picking, planting, whatever it is, through all hours of the day. There's a cycle for those during the days and a cycle for those during the night. So now they have said, well, we don't want these undocumented workers here anymore doing this, and it's for a reason. Somebody has to do it, right? We can agree, if we're paying attention, that someone has to do it. So, what is the plan? The plan, which has always been the plan, is to, the plan as they're putting together, is to take children as young as the age of 14 to work in the fields, doing this work that supposedly these immigrants, these illegal immigrants and these legal migrants were doing. Now, before we get there, we want to touch on several things. You'll see up on your screen, you'll see the Angola prison, which is located in Louisiana. Now, almost 80% of the prisoners housed in Angola are what can be referred to as Negro people or black people, whatever connotation they want to put on us. And in the context of this presentation, children of YahUah's, children of Akobe, the descendants 4 generations later of those of us that were taken away in captivity for our disobedience before YahUah. Now, what a lot of people don't know is Angola prison works. Almost all of those prisoners, predominantly who are black males, and work them in fields. The entire prison is surrounded by a massive farm that cultivates everything from soybeans to whatever they can cultivate. 4 corporations, such as Cargill and lots of other companies. And this is free labor to these companies. These men make probably in the area of 15 cents, something like that, per hour for the work that they do. And this they do from the rising of the sun until the sun goes down, and those that are worked overnight to continue the processing of these foodstuff. So we see here that the outcomes of this captivity, insofar as the labor and how our brothers and our sisters are treated, particularly our brothers, is for continual labor, slave labor, unpaid labor, hard work, punishment, beatings, whatever it takes, pretty much still like a chain gang. Coming forward now to this issue of the migrants or immigrants that are being deported, we see that in Florida, the governor, the Florida legislature, is debating lifting some of the child labor laws to fill jobs that have been vacated by undocumented immigrants. Now keep in mind, they used the word vacated. The positions were not vacated. They were removed from the positions from which they were initially brought here for. But the plan has always been to keep us in a place wherein we labor for our slave masters, and in the worst ways. I think a lot of us are blinded by the fact that we don't understand the game, the smoke and mirrors game. We see a few people that are put before us, whether it's in professional sports, whether it's in, so-called Hollywood or whatever we call it, or people that are singing and dancing all over the place to continually entertain. And we believe that there is some type of freedom, or that we're not in captivity. The answer to that is no. Couldn't be farther from the truth. That is just a part of the deception. It's no different than when we had the physical yokes of iron on our necks or on our feet, and we saw the one slave or 2 or 3 that was removed from the field and placed into the house and given a particular type of status. It's really the same thing, and we need to look at it for what it is. But let's read a little. It says, Florida has been working for years to crack down on employers that hire undocumented immigrants. But that presented a problem for businesses in the state that are desperate for workers to fill low-wage and often undesirable jobs. Florida Republican Ron DeSantis and the state legislature have a potential solution. Children. The state's legislature on this past TUSDAY advanced a bill that would loosen the child labor laws, allowing children as young as 14 years old to work overnight shifts. If the new laws pass, teenagers would be able to work overnight jobs on school days. They are currently prevented from working earlier than 6:30 or later than 11 p.m. per state law. Now keep in mind, the latter that I just read applied to 16 and 17-year-olds. Now, the most interesting thing about this bill is that they're looking to pass it by June, June, 2 months' time, so that they can get these children into the fields by summer. Now, the most insidious thing about this is that there's also a provision in there that allows for less breaks, because the current law states in Florida that the children 16 and 17 really don't require a break, and they don't need to have a break. So that means these children could be worked whatever hours. So overnight, it could be for 10 hours overnight. It could, if sunset is, say, at 7 p.m., it could be from 7 p.m. to so-called fortnight. So this is what they seek to do. But the issue is, which children predominantly will this be happening to? Clearly, it will not be their children. It will be our children, the children of our brothers, the children of our sisters, that will be predominantly out there in these fields, in McDonald's, in Walmart, wherever it is that they need, that this need is. And so I say to us that, we need to realize that as we make our beds, and we try to make them as soft and comfortable as possible, there's going to come a time, the time is coming and drawing very near, YahUah, that we will not have a choice but to leave, to flee, to do as the Most High has commanded us to do. Because the pharaohs are going to crack the whip. The pharaohs are going to come at us from all angles, right, and from every side, because they will not seek to let us go, because they know that the time is here. Nonetheless, there is nothing that they will be able to do. So I think that we need to prepare ourselves. We need to turn back to the Most High. We need to seek His face, that we will be in favor to Him, not in opposition, and not in a place where we're in offense to Him, that His hand will be upon us for that which is to come. The judgment upon these lands are here, and there are many things that are happening, and there are many distractions that are taking place, and we need to be able to see through it all clearly, because the key, or the reason for a lot of these things that are being spoken of, that are happening, is for us to constantly be in a place of chaos. I referred to it in a previous video as asymmetrical warfare, coming at us from all directions, that we just don't seem to know which way to turn. But the way that we need to turn and focus is to focus upon the Father, that He, hallelujah, will hear us, that He will restore us, that He will reveal Himself to us, because things will ratchet up, and His hand is at work. And this will be the very next thing that I will discuss in the next video. So I ask you to just, be diligent and be aware. And the next video that you're going to see here in this presentation will kind of wrap it up a bit, that it's clear for all to see. And if you don't see it, it is because you either don't choose to, or you lack the discernment to be able to see what is happening. Until then, till the next one, Selah.
Lawmakers in Florida are trying to enact SB 918, which is to rewrite the labor laws there in Florida. Now, they want to change it to where children from 17 to 18 can work longer than 8 hours and in some cases work overnight. And they also want to lower the age to 14, especially if they are homeschooled, that they can also work longer hours and even overnight. Now, they're saying they want to do this for a few reasons. One, they're acting like they care about the families, right? But it'll give families more autonomy over their children's work life. And I guess in some regards, put a little bit more money into the household. They're also acknowledging, well, since Trump's mass deportation plan is in full effect, we don't have people to work in certain industries anymore. And so that is their bright idea. Now, let's keep it real. That was always the plan, regardless of who was in office. I believe they were going to do that anyway. Now, of course, we know, especially in Florida, there's a large black population. So they're not thinking about their children working overnight in fast food restaurants or wherever it is. They're not thinking about their children. They're thinking about our children. And Ron DeSantis, who is a Republican, he's all aboard and, wants to have that passed and this, that, and the other. Now, let's not lie to kick it. The Democrats were no better. Because when Joe Biden was in office, they were bringing over migrants to, fill some of these labor voids, right? They wanted to have them come in and work in different industries, but it backfired. So the Republicans and the Democrats, they have the same thought in mind. Let's fill these jobs, but they were trying to go about it a different way. Now, I want to say this as well. The Republicans, they don't necessarily care about stopping the mass deletion of babies. And y'all know what I mean, because they necessarily care about babies. No, they need a working class. Because when people stop producing children, then they stop producing a working class. So the next best thing is to get children to go and fill those job vacancies. And they don't care about their education. They don't care if your kids go to school or not. They like get in there and make that minimum wage so that the machine, capitalism, can keep on going. So why should we as Black Americans care about that? Because we have been told time and time again, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. Let's practice group economics. Let's do for self. Let's separate. And now we're having that conversation a little bit more nowadays, but we are running out of time. Those people, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on, they're thinking about making children. And again, a lot of those children are going to look like us. They're thinking about, hey, let them work overnight. Forget their quality of sleep or their education. And yeah, they talked about that in Florida, but don't you think they wouldn't mind making that nationwide? Of course they would. Now, of course, we know that back in the day, before they had the child labor laws, children were being exploited and a whole host of other things, for capitalism. But they outlawed that. But there they are talking about, let's bring it back. Guarantee it ain't going to have their children working at McDonald's overnight. So that's just something to think about.